Well, hey there. Uh, I'm planning, or I was planning on making a short video, but let's see how short it is. By the time you're watching this, you'll already see the time bar, so you'll know. I still don't. So you have more information than I do. But yeah, sorry, I'll be panning over to my screen right there just to see some of the bullet points that I wrote for myself, just to not lose track of the things that I wanted to discuss. So, first of all, that first batch that you've seen in my previous videos with all those seven guitars, uh, they're all gone. Everything went according to plan, actually. Well, I mean, money wise, not really, but still okay. I mean, I lost money and I lost obviously work, all the work that I put into those guitars, making them, building them, fixing them, and all the special care that I've especially put into the fret leveling and fret work in general. Those guitars, although let's say cheap, affordable in terms of materials and whatnot, they were stellar playing by all means. You know, due to all the nice things that I did for all those days and weeks and months that I spent on them. But I guess you cannot really say that's work lost because even though I knew my stuff even back then, still with every guitar you become better and you learn. So that work kind of stays with me, if that makes any sense. Now, uh, like I said, I didn't make as much as I initially anticipated or wanted to, but it's still, I mean, good enough. It's yeah, it is what it is. For me, the relief that I get from not having them no more far outweighs the same burden that I had, keeping them here and just waiting for who knows how many more months just to get the fair price or the right price. Anyhow, uh, and with that being said, I just wanted to follow up on my initial post for this mini series where I was announcing that I'm selling all my stuff. So, still, the other batch is to soon follow. Let's see how things will go. But for this first batch of seven guitars, like I said, they're already gone. It was done in like one day. Well, actually, 2 days. Left them there one day, half negotiated things, and finalized negotiations and took my money second day. Anyhow, useless details. But I just wanted to expand a little bit more on this idea of owning. Like, if you're out there watching this and you own a lot of guitars and you wish you'd own even more, and you want to be this collector, gas type of person, gear acquisition syndrome, I really pondered on this topic for many years now, like at least 7 years. Eight actually. Around 2014, I first started really asking myself, like, why own? Like, for example, there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of unique guitars in this world, amazing guitars. If you would see them, if you would get to spend a little bit of time with each of them, you'd want to keep them, and that would apply to all of them, or a huge part of them, or even if it's a small part of them, still that would be like shit ton of guitars. And this idea is more like generally, why own the guitar? I mean, the guitar kind of like, I mean, you have to realize the guitar still exists. I mean, that beauty that you admire about the guitar, whether it's pure aesthetics or playability or sound, that thing still is out there. Just because you have ownership over it on some piece of paper, having paid some money, I don't really get at the end of the day like what value does this add to you. I mean, whether it's in your house, in someone else's house, or in some store out there. I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, we appreciate the guitar for what it is, not for whom it belongs to, unless it's like a famous artist. But even with that, I have a problem, and I'll get to it in a moment. So anyway, my first thought was, why own? And like I said, I was thinking about this for a very long time. And the more I think about it, the more it doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Like, you can always go into any guitar store and, like I said, see a lot of guitars you can play. You can have some nice time. You can admire it, just look at it and listen to it. But at the end of the day, you just go home. That guitar stays there. I mean, what's the deal? Why does it have to sit in your closet in order for you to be happy? That doesn't just doesn't make sense. And as an offshoot of that, actually, I wasn't even owning them, because I mean, it's one thing when you own them and you play the crap out of them, but like when you just have them, and like in my case, you no longer play. It's not even owning. It's just, I mean, the owning part just kind of slowly transformed into like a glorified storage service. My house was basically just a storage facility. I was just providing rental for those guys, for those guitars. Those guitars were basically, yeah, I know I just called them guys. Well, but those guitars were basically just renting space in my house, which, yeah, kind of makes you think. And yeah, actually, just to further beat that dead horse with what I opened up earlier about why owning. Like, imagine having, I don't know, like 10, 20, 50, 100 of the most beautiful guitars ever, including some of the ones you already know. They might belong to your favorite artists or hero or artists, because you might have one, you might have 3, 5, 10, 20, who knows how many. All your heroes' guitars. Imagine having them. Depending on who you are and how many people you admire, you might want to have, who knows, a lot of guitars. In my case, I would want to have, I don't know, Yngwie's guitar, Michelangelo Badio's guitar, Richie Sambora's guitars, Satchel's guitar, George Lynch's guitar, CC's guitar, from Poison, Warren DeMartini's guitar, Andy James guitar, and so many other people's guitars. I can't even tell you just how many of them there are without having to mention them all in no particular order. That would basically, again, just turn me like into a glorified collector that at the end of the day just has those guitars for no reason. I mean, you either barely play them or you don't play them at all because you do other things, or you don't play them at all because, again, collector syndrome, you want to preserve them like in a glass jar and just look at them and make sure nothing touches them. All sorts of weird shit people have, including myself. So really, at the end of the day, even if those guitars are not series guitars, up on the shelf, and they're like unique individual guitars that have belonged to some favorite famous musicians or whatever, still doesn't make sense. It actually makes less of a sense. I mean, you're basically glorifying the person, not just the guitar itself. This weird idea of like some, I don't know, special inherent quality of the guitar, just because it belonged to someone. It's like double the trouble. It's like you're glorifying both the individual and the piece of wood, which is just, yeah, not my cup of tea from a moral and not only point of view. So that being said, also, you have to think about it. Right now, from the discussion that we had, let's say there would be, tens or hundreds or thousands or who knows how many guitars that you would want to own right now. What about all the guitars that haven't yet been built and they will be built over the next few years and in the far lasting future? I mean, it's going to be like an endless agony and dissatisfaction with the fact that you can never own all the things that you want, which again is kind of like a stupid vicious cycle, right? Like I said previously, you'll end up doing this with everything, like with women, with houses, with cars, with anything. And this is just a sickening thought. And not only this, but yeah, like if you go back to why I don't even like use it to the full extent. Actually, I not even mentioning this, but still, I kind of have to mention it. I'm not using them at all. I wasn't using them at all at this point. It was just like a name tag that I put on them, and to be honest, even when I'm thinking about what type of guitar I should keep, or if I decide to sell them all and then buy a new one or make myself a new one, it's kind of like I'm going back to again one of my older thoughts. Like initially when I was younger, I forced myself. Yes, I didn't have the money, but still, even if I would have had, I was forcing myself to play only cheap guitars because, well, A, I like it, and B, I never felt like, B, they never felt like they're really worth the money, but also C, which is where I'm trying to get at, and other thoughts keep popping in my head. Basically, you're not even worthy of those things. I mean, sure, you have a premium guitar, or not to mention a signature guitar. Let those guys play them. Let the true artists play them. I mean, you being like a fancy schmancy snob sitting in your bedroom playing like a custom shop just because you can, or doesn't have to be a custom shop, like even a premium, whatever premium grade guitar. I mean, really, you're shooting for above your level on multiple levels, if that makes any sense. I really don't agree with that, and I was kind of taken by surprised with a lot of things, and I wanted to see how things are. I did it. I started owning very expensive guitars, but at the end of the day, I mean, really, it doesn't make me happy. It actually makes me feel more miserable. And yeah, I think I'm way happier if I just go back to playing cheaper guitars that better reflect who I am, what I am, and where I am as a guitarist. To be honest, I can't even call myself a guitarist no more since I'm no longer playing a guitar. But if I do come back, I mean, still, this thing has to match. Can no longer be such a huge gap. I mean, back in my day when I was at the guitar store, I saw this, endless times, countless times with people, had the money, could barely play their favorite chords from whatever song. They kept butchering the same riff or lick over and over again, but they wanted to have that, American Fender or custom shop or Gibson or whatever. I would like to say, well, there's nothing wrong with it, but blah, 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 blah. Actually, there is, in my opinion. I touched on this briefly just a bit earlier, but yeah, I won't go into it much deeper right now. But to each their own. And having said that, with the whole identity thing, I also realized that multiple times throughout my guitar playing days, for lack of a better term, because career, I really don't want to call it that way, but for like many years, I kept like changing or switching gears in terms of preferences and trying to find myself as a guitarist. And there was like the Strat days. There were the Strat days. There was like the Strat version of me, and then I was experimenting with other things, and depending on which hero I gravitated towards at one particular moment in time, I was trying to kind of like emulate them, style wise, music wise, playing wise, and obviously guitar wise, guitar choice. And it was like the Strat and whatever, then this and that. Then they were like, I'm just mentioning the big ones. Then the super crazy heavy shapes, like with the Warlock and the Flying V's, and the weird twisted, contorted shapes. The heavier, the better. And then I got sick of that, and then I went back to more classical things. I tried a lot of things, like single cuts, double cuts, all sorts of brands and colors and flavors and configurations. There was like the scallop me versus the regular me, the single coil me, the humbucker me, the 24 fret me, the 21 fret me, the 22 fret me, and when I'm saying all these variations, what I mean by this is that at one particular point in time, I was certain that this thing exclusively is what applies to me, and this is what I want to focus on, and nothing else would ever touch me or bother me, or I would never focus again on other types of guitars. And even with colors, even with like there was the Olympic white version of me, the cream version of me, the neon color version of me, all sorts of variations and whatnot, and all this thing, just like I said, to round it up and go back to where I started from, it was again about trying to find my identity. If you don't resonate with this at all, I think you're just a weird guitar player. But most guitar players that I know or have heard of or seen, even out there on the internet, I think all of us suffer from this thing. Basically, we're just in our heads, although we might say, I'm not trying to emulate anyone, because we have this originality ego. Like, we realize that those things are back in the formative years when you're heavily influenced by someone, and then you're trying to act up like you're this independent artist now who has his own preference and so on. Still, there are a lot of underneath traces that go back to you trying to emulate things and persons, people in one way or another, one shape or form. So, to be honest, this actually slowly reveals and probably even develops multiple personality disorder. Not that we wouldn't have already a lot of mental disorders as guitar players or musicians in general, but guitarists, in my opinion, have always been like the special bunch of musicians. Like, all other musicians have their quirks, but guitarists far exceed all of them by the thousands. And I don't necessarily mean that in the flattering way for the guitarists. So yeah, just wanted to wrap it all up and tell you that the first batch is already out. I feel relieved, but I also kind of still feel a little bit stressed about the second one, which is much trickier to sell because they're a lot more expensive, but still I really feel the relief, and I wanted to share that with you, and also share with you my thoughts, my second part of my thoughts, the follow-up on my first video with why I think this madness needs to stop, not just for me but also for you. If you're not ready, just give it some time, and I hope within a few years probably you'll reach this point where I'm right now. But yeah, let me know what you know. Let me know what you know. No, keep what you know for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Yeah, I keep staring out the window because it's like a beautiful sunset. But yeah, let me know what you think, and if you agree or disagree with me, if you completely hate what I'm saying and you like that genie voice in your head is like, no, no, don't listen to him. He's trying to make you sell all of our guitars. Bad. Yeah. Hope you can slap that little rascal and just come to your senses. But until then, would really love to hear more from you, and let's see where it goes from this point onwards. And yeah, sorry for the unedited videos and whatnot, but really I'm not in the mood for doing that stuff no more, at least not for now. So what you're gonna get, at least at this point, is going to be some raw footage. So yeah, sorry about that. Hope you can focus on the content and not really be bothered by the sizzly, sparkly shizzle and salt and pepper with all the video editing that just wastes hours of my life for no benefit in the end. Except for trying to be more of a professional YouTuber, which I ain't. And not really sure I'm planning on being. So anyway, just slap me to go eat dinner, will you? Till next time, bye.